And cheers, everybody. We've
Cheers.
got something a little special for you here. Normally we do one wine, but we're doing two. And have you ever noticed a family where the parents have a child and then a year later they have another child, and those two kids are nothing alike? They grow up totally different. They look different. One's liberal, one's conservative, one's an introvert, one's an extrovert. You can have that in wines too. And we're talking here about the Mer Soleil, and you've seen us do Mer Soleil a number of times. This is one of the great Chardonnays of all time. We were introduced to this, or at least I was, by John O'Hurley many, many years ago. And we've seen kind of the iterations of Mer Soleil over the years, and some were kind of like, I don't know if we like it as much. We still think it's a great wine.
Oh, absolutely.
But what we've done here is we've looked at the 2014 and the 2016, and you noticed not only a big difference in the taste, but there's a big difference in how they did it.
Well, yes, and we're going to get into that in just one second. First, I would just like to say that when you do a tasting like this, and usually you have more wines than just two, it's called a vertical tasting. And so if you ever see that, a vertical tasting is basically the same wine, the same winery, but different years. So it's vertical. So it's an easy way to remember it, just a little piece of information. And it's really cool to do because, as you just said, what happens is you see the differences in what was going on that year with the weather, which creates the terroir. What happened with the grapes? When did they harvest them? What was the sun doing? What was the wind doing? The ocean, the mist, all of that. And
we should also say with the Wagner family, the whim of the winemaker, because they've done some things that we've said, that's way out of the box. And we're like, wow, but it's really good. So,
yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
It could have just been what they wanted to do or what they expected their customers to want.
Well, exactly. And it could have been a combination, which very likely, I think this is what happened. It was the weather, it was the terroir, and the artist took what the grapes were that season and made something into it, which was very different. And what we found with the 2014 and the 2016, these are kind of wildly different. Like that was a great analogy comparing it to the two children, you know, and that's very common, and it's happened here. And you know, Wagner family, we love you. I mean, you guys are awesome. You make some of our favorite wines, not just Mer Soleil, but others too. And so what we did with the vertical tasting was we tasted the 2014 first. Now this to me was like your typical Mer Soleil that we're used to Chardonnay. It's very buttery, it's very oaky, it's very creamy, and it's got that whole full-bodiedness of a California Chardonnay. And then at the end, you get a little bit of the alcohol. So, and what were your observations?
Well, about the same. And to me, this was typical of what the Mer Soleil has been maybe over the last 5-6 years. I remember the Mer Soleil back in the early 2000s being really creamy, oaky, buttery.
Yes, exactly.
And they've gone away from that. They've given you more of kind of the citrus back.
Or the grapes and the terroir have given you that.
That's exactly what.
So we don't know. We'll have to find out. And
that
will be on another show. But it's also interesting when you have this bouquet of the 2014, it's a little subtle. And then when you taste it, it just explodes in your mouth. Okay, so now that being said, then we tasted the 2016. So these grapes are a little bit different than the 2014, obviously, and this
the climate too.
Exactly, and we'll go into that in just a second. But this wine, it was so the bouquet of it was so full, and you really expected something different when you tasted it, because this bouquet is much fuller than this. But then when you taste this, it's completely different. You get more upfront alcohol, you get a lot of citrus, you get that Chardonnay grape that is not, you know, fully developed, not oaky, not buttery. This isn't total, I would not call this buttery by any stretch, but it's a great wine. I mean, it's delicious.
A little bit of a French feel almost. And which might be for good reason too.
Oh yeah, because I mean, everybody loves a good French wine any day of the day or night. And this, I mean, it's just so different. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, the interesting thing is that, and I've never seen this done before, was that they actually had a description on the bottle.
Oh yeah,
So you got to see the difference.
That's when we were tasting it and we're going through our notes and everything, and as we're sitting here sharing this with you, we actually, when we looked at the bottles, and this is what's so great about the Wagner family, true artistry of winemaking, they've got on the bottle written. So here, for instance, the 2014, basically they've got written on it, a cool vintage with the vines reaching maturity. Now this is the key part, September 22nd through October 16th, just before the onset of winter. Also, fermented and aged in French oak barrels, so French oak for this one. Now this one, 2016, a little bit different. A cool vintage with the vines reaching maturity October 1st through October 13th. So that's a lot shorter season that they had there by a week and a half at least. Just before the onset of El Nino winter. So El Nino, as many of you know, in California, can wreak havoc with the weather. Wet and so many different things. And this was just barrel fermented and then cellared. So no French oak on this one. So that's...
Which to me is an irony because this has a little bit more of a French taste to me.
Well, right,
this
correct.
Is the 2016, so we put the 2016 on our left, your right, so you can understand. We yesterday literally had to put little tape signs, 2016, 2014, and you've got to do that too if you're going to do vertical taste tests like this. But to me, that's the irony of this is that it has a French taste, but it's not in the French barrels. That was in the French barrel. Right,
yes, and this is much more oaky buttery, and you know, I mean, if you get a Montrachet, I would definitely call that buttery, but there's also artistry to this, and if you have a second malolactic fermentation, which is getting a little bit technical, but that is really what brings out the butteriness of the Chardonnay grape. That brings out butteriness, creaminess. So we don't know what they did on this one. If they had the second fermentation, this one I would say they definitely did because it's very buttery and creamy. And these are two wildly different wines from the same winery, the same region, and this is the perfect way that you really get to have your palate really adjust to understand how the same grape but different terroir, different regions, different growing seasons, you know, wherever you're growing it, why it can be so wildly different, even with the same grape.
And it's great because this is a great winemaking family, and when you get deep inside what they do, it's like looking at a championship team and being able to break down all the great components that are
exactly
there. And it's funny because we had, for a while there, we had rated the Mer Soleil or the Rombauer 1-2 as far as the best Chardonnays that are out there. And again, we have more of a oaky, buttery, California big taste. That's just the way both of us are. And I would say over the years, we've kind of put Rombauer back on top because we think it's a little bit smoother. It's got a little bit more of the oak and butter. And not that Mer Soleil had fallen down or wasn't as good. It was a little different taste pattern for us. And so this explains a lot of it, though.
Yeah, no, it really does. When you compare it.
They're testing, they're doing different things, and they're being winemakers that are, as you say, what God gave you, we're going to take it and we're going to make it good. So this is still a great wine. It's probably, if you get it at Costco, it's probably like about $38, $39. If you get it in a restaurant, it's probably going to be about $60, $70 a bottle. But again, it's well worth it. Food-wise, I think so much goes with this. And in our previous Mer Soleil pieces, we even said you could have red meat with this. I think it still holds up with that. This, what do you think? I think you could still do it. I don't know if it would be as good though, because this is a little bit less as far as that.
Well, I think you could still do it. I mean, you could definitely do it with the 2014 because it's very robust, full-bodied. The 2016, I still would do it. I would do it when you, like, say you do a flank steak with a chimichurri sauce or something like that, and you sliced it diagonally. Then I would do it. I would do the 2016. That kind of a marinated, more like lower end kind of a meat that you've marinated a lot and then just slightly grilled and then you slice thinly, I think would go great with that. Filet mignon with
Ribeye,
a butter.
probably
Ribeye, yeah. I don't know that it would hold up to that. This, I think you still could hold this up to it. You just want to make sure you don't serve it too cold. Make sure you serve it at 55 degrees or above, which means if you have it in your fridge, take it out about an hour to an hour and a half before you're going to serve it. If you have it in your wine cooler, you're probably good to go. Take it out about 5 minutes before, and then it's good. But it's so interesting, and this is what we love, and this is what addicted me long ago to winemaking and the wine artistry. And it's really this combination of the skills of the artist and then what Mother Nature brings for the terroir, and that gives you what you can take as the same grape and create into something completely different. And what I think what they did with this 2016 after the El Nino season, I think it's brilliant. I think they did a brilliant job because it's so good. It's just very different, you know? But here's the other interesting thing that we said. This 2016, you get the alcohol up front, but you get the caramelization on the back end. So it's a little bit caramelized. Then this one, you just get full-bodied butter. 14, you get full-bodied butter, cream, oak, you know, right up front and on the back end.
But you get a little bit of liquor on the back end too.
Yeah, you get a little alcohol on the back end. Yeah, of this one, definitely.
That is closer to the original, I would say, Mer Soleil.
Exactly. Well, when we say original, we're saying like the one that we had back in the day for, you know, probably from 2010 to 2014. And that's where we had it. And now we've got these new ones, which, you know, I can't wait to try the future of Mer Soleil because we love this wine anyway. We're so in love with the Wagner family, and I mean, the future is always going to be bright because you can't go wrong because they're so amazing. They're amazing artists. They have amazing terroir. And really, where they source these grapes is the Santa Lucia Valley, which is right around Monterey. And it makes a great Chardonnay grape.
Can't go wrong, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with those grapes and the Wagner family. Okay, so I just had the Gruyere. And go ahead and try it. I already cut it for you.
Oh, God, you never do that. Wow, thank you.
It was meant for me.
You cut the cheese for me? Is that what you're saying? Just kidding. I just thought you as a guy would enjoy that joke.
We're talking wine here, and you got flatulence on your mind. I mean, it's just terrible.
Just try to be accommodating.
Things I have to do.
Oh, I love that with the 2014. That it brings out the creaminess of the wine and it brings out the creaminess of the cheese. And this is an amazing cheese. We love it. It's Gruyere.
From Trader Joe's.
Exactly. A great place to get cheese. I'll try it with this one.
Curious to see your reaction on this one.
Oh, wow. So that brings out, actually, still brings out the creaminess in the cheese, but it brings out a little more of the citrus in the wine. I think, so they're both amazing. I love it with both. That cheese, amazing with both of these wines.
My initial was, oh, there's not a lot of difference. And then in the last
yeah,
one,
there's a lot of difference, yeah.
There is. So to me, I still felt like it was Mer Soleil. I mean, even in eating even in having that cheese there. So I didn't see a massive difference between the two of them with that cheese. I just saw or felt a little bit of the citrus in the end there. Came out just a little bit on that one, which would be normal because this is more creamy, this is less creamy.
Yeah, oh, you're absolutely right. Yep, I love it. All right, you're gonna try it with our other favorite cheese, which it's seasonal cheese with Trader Joe's. So in the autumn, you get the autumn. And this is one of our favorites. It's so good. It's very brie-like. It's very camembert-like. It's creamy in the mouthfeel, but it's also got that rindy kind of bite to it. Just a little bit. So if you're not a big fan of, you know, overly cheesy cheeses, you know, like a blue cheese or something like that, this will be right in your wheelhouse because it's not over the top, but it's still It's really delicious.
No, I'm trying the 16 first.
Okay.
So 16's on your right, my left.
I want this cheese. Now this cheese, I think, brings out the butter in this wine, the oak in this wine.
See, I'm getting a lot more of the citrus.
Oh wow, that's interesting. And I don't get a lot of the creaminess in the cheese when I taste it with the 2016. No, I need another piece because I ate that whole piece. It was so good. All right.
Oh. I think I like it better with the 2014. It tastes exquisite. I just get more. I get that creamier taste that I enjoy.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I might disagree with you, just because I feel like I do get the expensive part. To me, the buttery in that cancels out the buttery in this, and the buttery in this cancels out the buttery in that. So I think I almost like it with the 2016 better.
See, I like the double butter. Can't go wrong with butter.
Yeah, I think I like it better with the 2016. This one I do. Yeah. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong here. And this is the perfect thing about wine and palates. You're not right. I saw that. I saw that. I see it from the side. Purple vision. No, but this is what you need to know. In wine and in food and in anything that you're tasting with your senses, smell, taste, touch too, for that matter. But you are always right, because whatever's right for you is what's right for you. Whether somebody else who's with you likes it or not, or thinks it's the same thing, it's never going to be the same, because human beings are all completely different, especially with our senses. So this is the beauty of it. The terroir of the winemaker and your taste, and that's what makes the beauty of wine. I mean, and why you should have a wine tasting and a wine and cheese party, and a wine and anything party with your friends, because just go out there and drink more wine. Don't drive when you're drinking wine, but just drink more wine, eat more cheese.
What's cool is that the changes are infinitesimal. When you think about the fact that we both love this, and when we got to the difference between these two cheeses and what I like one, you like the other, or something like that. And again, I didn't dislike that, but
I didn't dislike that. No, it's just, that's it.
That's what shows you in nature, just the small different things that can happen, not only with climate, but also with the winemaker. Or it could have been he had different barrels that weren't from the same barrels from the year before.
Exactly.
And I might have had a sinus problem, and I was tasting things differently.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just everybody's taste buds are different. You know what I mean? So everybody likes different flavors and tastes, and to that degree, you're going to agree or disagree. And that's the beauty of it. And there's no right or wrong. Everybody is right. It's right or right is what it is.
So I want to talk about the vertical testing, because if you folks want to do a vertical testing, we can do it. It's a lot of fun to have your friends come and do it. Talk about Chardonnays, the years of Chardonnays, because if you're 4, 5, 6 years, usually that Chardonnay is not going to be as good. Is that a rule, or is there kind of a corollary to that rule?
Oh, good point. Actually, it depends on the winemaker, and that's where I think if you have a very good winemaker, and they're making, let's say, a Chardonnay, like this Chardonnay, it's 2014. It's delicious. It holds up.
We're in 2018 right now.
And we're in 2018 at the time of this recording. We're in 2018. Many times French Chardonnays, they make them to last. And so unlike most of the time when you usually should drink a Chardonnay or any kind of a white wine, especially a Sauvignon Blanc, the extreme of this is the Beaujolais Nouveau. If you don't drink Beaujolais Nouveau within like the 2 weeks of it's being made, it's crap after that. So just don't even worry about it. But we'll do a show on that another time. But basically, you have to drink the Beaujolais Nouveau right out of the barrel. So in this case, we've got an amazing winemaker. Their foundation is so solid and secure, and everything they do is brilliant. So we trust them. So their 2014 Chardonnay, no brainer. It's always good. You could find another Chardonnay in 2014, and the other things that go into making it good or not good could be how it was stored. So it might have been stored badly. If it's stored badly and it's not kept at the right temperature, definitely it's not going to be good when you open it. And there's different things that can go wrong with it. It could be vinegar-like, which means it's corked. It could be just old and stale. And also it could be very like golden in color. And if it's very dark amber, then you know it, you don't want to drink it. It was like the color of brandy. Don't drink it. It's going to be bad. That means that it was aged poorly. It was stored in a temperature that was high heat, and if you store it in a cool temperature, 55 or below, you're always going to be good. And if you hold these up, we can actually see the difference between this one is a little more amber and this is a little more pale. But that's just the aging of Chardonnay. But in this case, because of the Wagner family and they did it right, the 2014 holds up, and I think it's what gives it a little more of the caramel flavor too.
So a rule of thumb would be if it's 5 years of a Chardonnay.
Oh yeah, if it's 5 years, I would double check it depending on who created it. Yeah. If it's 5 years, drink it, or less than 5 years, drink it. I mean, just drink it. That's what I say.
So when you're at the wine store, and this may not happen when you're at Costco or Trader Joe's, but since they have things that are just coming in all the time.
Yes.
So, but if you're at a wine store and you notice a brand that has 2 or 3 different years, try to do that. Try to do a taste testing on that. That's the thing you should try to do. And this can be a lot of fun. I think that the basic rules are exactly what you said. Give it some time. Don't pull it directly out of the refrigerator. Just make sure it's got maybe a half hour to an hour at least. And so you let the Chardonnays get a little warmer. Yeah. And to me, this is it. So just as we're tasting them now, this is like heaven. I mean, you got 2 Mer Soleils here. I mean, I don't think I've ever had 2 Mer Soleils at once.
I know.
So this is heaven.
Cheers.
So cheers.
And here's to you, Wagner family. We love you. We're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Can't wait to have more.